think. Pause. It didn't say recording in progress. I'm trusting that this is recording. Can you see that it's recording, Alex? Or does it have a little recording?
Yeah, it's recording. You good?
Okay,
All good.
okay. I have like PTSD because I've done this that many times and not recorded it properly. All right. So you guys, today's going to be a bit different, and I want you to receive all of this in a different way, right? Like we spoke about the strategy, we spoke about constraints, we spoke about what it really truly takes to create a wildly successful business. Today I want to talk about, thank you, Jamie. Today I want to talk about something different. I want to look at business from a whole different perspective, and it's a very important perspective, okay? Very, very important perspective. But before we get into that, we're also going to do a bit of Q&A at the end, all right? So if you guys have questions around your business in particular, if you have questions around what I do in the constraint analysis, we're gonna tackle all of those questions at the end. So write them down. If things come up for you whilst I'm talking, write it down. If you guys can take your cameras off and we can see your face, that would also be amazing. Alex, I'll let you handle the comments or the little messages if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
I'm going to ignore that. All right, cool. So day 1, we looked at constraints. Hopefully you guys downloaded the worksheet. Day 2, we looked at the ecosystem and the full architecture. If you guys haven't watched day 2, please watch it, right? It's so important. And we talk about what's actually happening, how to build a proper ecosystem so you can scale with longevity, sustainability, and predictability, right? So there's so much is unpredictable when it comes to scaling. But what we build for people, it creates all of this, right? So it's so important to watch it because we reveal all of it. We tell you exactly what it looks like, and it's super, super powerful. It's truly game changing. Today, we're going to talk about quantum energetics, and this is equally as important, okay? This is equally as important. So, if you guys are here, then I am assuming, you can tell me in the comments, you agree that you play a hand in creating this reality. Give me a yes if you agree. Give me a no if you don't agree, okay? It doesn't matter regardless, right? I want to know who I'm talking to. So do you feel like you have a hand in creating this reality through how you think, through how you feel, through the frequency that you emit? I'm going to reverse engineer so much of this today. It's going to blow your mind, okay? So now that you've seen the constraints, right? Now that you understand, yes, quantumly, I love it. Now that you understand what's actually involved, like what is actually required to scale properly, the question isn't what's wrong anymore, right? It's about what you're going to do about it. This is truly so freaking important, all right? This is why so many people are on the hamster wheel. They're taking little pieces of everything they've been taught, things they found on Instagram, things they find on YouTube, and they're trying to like tape it together, and it's all clunky, and nothing's truly building the one most important thing, which is compounding demand. Every day, are you doing something that is just keeping you busy, or are you doing something that's building you compounding demand? That's what every business needs, right? And then are you looking at how you harvest it properly? So this is what the ecosystem is about. This is what Alex and I do for people. These are the systems we build out for you. And so if you are, it doesn't even matter where you're at in your business, by the way. And if you're not sure, just book a constraint analysis with me. It is $297, guaranteed the best $297 you will ever spend. Whether you're just starting out and we want to refine your messaging, whether we need to package you properly, whether we need to position you properly, or whether I'm going super deep into your numbers and understanding exactly what's happening and identifying revenue leaks. It doesn't really matter. You will equally get tremendous value, and I'll put you on the path to making sure that what you're doing daily is going to help you compound demand, okay? This is where your business gets momentum. So if you're like, halfway through the year, and you're like thinking, okay, I thought I was going to be somewhere else. 2026 isn't to be my year. We all have the proclamation at the start. We're like, okay, how the hell did 6 or 7 months go by, right? Well, we got the rest of the year to really nail this. This is why your soul, there was something in your intuition led you here, right? You have the whole rest of the year to build compounding momentum. So you can literally launch yourself into 2027 because you're doing things that are actually moving the dial, right? And this is based on data, and this is based on numbers. This is based on us tracking every little thing and recognizing, where your leaks are, where the constraints are as you grow, and then us building this for you, right? So when you do this properly, when you understand your constraints and you build a machine that compounds demand, this is where you have the leads coming in. This is where you have the dream business, right? Where the calls are booking in constantly. Your revenue is no longer tied to your energy output. Okay, that's so important, right? That's so important. You have a business that's compounding. You have courses that sell. You reverse engineered your revenue goals. That is data driven, all right? And your return on ad spend can go from 2 to 10. That's what happened with me, right? And you don't worry about the drops, the spikes, the guessing, because you're building consistency and you're building demand. This isn't theory, right? This is what it happens when your business is built properly. This is what I did when I started my Instagram from scratch. Okay, I started my Instagram over. So it has nothing to do with your following. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with, have you plugged the leaks? Have you, or are you building demand properly? And then we look at how we harvest it, and then it gets to be fun and juicy. The dream businesses are available, right? Dream businesses are available. Waking up to 4-figure days, seeing all the new people like loving and raving about your courses that you've not lifted a finger to sell. It's pretty cool, actually. So my low ticket funnels were the ones, so I had the $17 funnel, were the ones that were getting people into my 15K mastermind as well, right? So this is a value ladder that you create through your funnels. All right, so again, you guys, we have a few spots left. So congratulations, by the way, for the people who have booked the constraint analysis. I'm super freaking excited. I have some I'm doing actually literally after this call. I've built the reports out, and it's so interesting. There's so much I'm going to revamp for the few of you who have booked a call that's going to change everything already. So if you have not booked your constraint analysis, it's just a no-brainer, right? We're going to look at the exact bottleneck preventing your next level of growth. We are going to, you're going to walk away with a personalized report on exactly where it's limiting you. And most of you are going to be very surprised, right? So this person that I'm jumping down on the call with, I'm very excited because we're going to change the whole face of her messaging to start with, right? And then it's gonna really help her build momentum properly because it's gonna hit. People are gonna listen. We're gonna understand what their needs are. We're gonna speak to those. You will have a step-by-step strategic roadmap built specifically for your business, no matter where you're at, okay? Doesn't matter if you've run ads, if you have run ads, if you're just starting, you want the right direction, you will leave with clarity. And this is the most important thing, okay? Because most people are working on the wrong issue. They're trying to fix something that's not really broken, and they're not doing things that are moving the needle properly to build compounding demand, to build compounding momentum. This is what this constraint analysis does. When I do like these constraint analysis, AKA strategy intensive, the strategy intensive normally goes for about an hour and a half. These will go for an hour. I charge $1,500, okay? $1,500. This is $297, and this is the last day I'm going to be offering the constraint bot. So we'll also build a little bot that will act as me. So every day you can like jump into the bot and say, right, here's what's happening. It's going to ask you a few questions. It'll say, right, based on where you're at, this is the next step. This is the next move to turn the dial. So we have 6 spots left. Like I said, we had a couple of you book already. These spots will book out. Whether it's the 8 spots available, but we're gonna close the doors on this next week anyway. So book your constraint analysis. Like I said, it's just a no-brainer. It is also money back guarantee if you don't feel you've gotten 10 times the value of what you paid. This is how confident I am in what you're gonna get out of this. If you have questions, there was a few questions people DM'd me, so we'll go into that at the end as well. And if you guys have any questions around this, please don't hesitate to ask. But this is a QR code. You pick a date. You can just book it. Book in a date. If you want to jump in and you want to book a date and there's not a date that suits, book a random date and then message me and I'll coordinate, because I understand the time zone thing is a funny one. Australia is like the most annoying time zone to try to coordinate. So just book any random date, even if it doesn't suit you, message me and I'll make sure we have dates that work. And then yes, like I said, we'll answer questions for this at the end. Okay, so we're going to get into one of the most important things when it comes to business creation, okay? And I love this topic so much. I love it so much. I have been flown to Thailand and to yachts and all these things to talk about this topic specifically, because honestly, when it comes to deliberate creation, there are a few things we need to understand. All right. And I don't teach this from a place of copying and pasting everybody else's manifestation theories. Okay. I teach this from having lived it. All right. Having lived it. And so I want you to understand a few of these life-changing, paradigm-flipping concepts, because when you embody this stuff, when you embody the laws of the universe and you combine it with the strategy Alex and I deploy, inevitability starts to click in. Things start landing like you never thought, right? This is one of the biggest pieces though, okay? This is one of the biggest pieces. Give me a yes if you're excited to hear about it. Now, I want to tell you guys a little story about me. I grew up in a very small town in Northern California. Actually, I'm going to stop screen share for a sec so I can see you guys. I grew up in a tiny town in Northern California. Some of you might have heard of Mount Shasta. It's a very kind of mystical, spiritual place. And, oh, thanks for showing your face, Bridget. And small town, I don't know, several thousand people, right? Very small town, very rural. And I went to university in a place called Chico, again, very small town. And I ended up getting a job at this, one of the largest sales companies in the world at the Silicon Valley. The only reason I got the job interview is because somebody referred me. I had no sales experience. I had no business being in corporate, let alone had I ever worked in a city. And here I am, I graduated from university, I get this job interview. I remember like going into this massive building for the first time, like trying to find the number on the elevator to be like, oh my God, I'm like going up the elevator to like this 30th floor of this crazy high rise in the Silicon Valley. And I remember like feeling like I do not belong here. Like, how the hell am I here? I did my taxes the year before. I'd made 13 grand. Like, what am I doing here? So anyway, I get to this job interview. I'm sitting there and this lady they call the pit bull. She's this Asian lady. She walks in, she sits across from me. She points her finger at me and she says, Sarah, you know, I'm just kind of going off of faith. You know, you've been referred and, you know, you've done all right in this interview. She points her finger and she goes, this is a 6-figure position though. Can you handle it? And I was like, holy shit. Like, like there is at this point in time, zero evidence that I'd be able to handle this 6-figure position. Right. But it was weird. It was like there was something in me that was just a divine yes. Like the yes that came out of my mouth was just like rippled across the universe. There was so much conviction in it. And there was something that told me like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So I started this job. It was crazy. If you guys like watch like the, you know, like the stock rooms and people yelling and screaming, it was like that hectic. I was watching people weekly be fired from this position. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. I was like sad they were leaving, but nobody even seemed to care because they were so used to it. It was cutthroat. So fast forward, I just was in this zone of I didn't pay attention to the evidence. I had no experience. I had no idea how to do sales. I had no idea how to work the systems. But regardless of what the evidence was saying around me, I just kept in this bubble of yes, I'm creating 6-figure success. It was like a proclamation, right? This proclamation like anchored itself in my soul. And what happened was 18 months later, I did so well, they ended up transferring me to Melbourne, Australia. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, like this will be fine now. I know the systems. I know the word tracks. I know how to sell. I know how to land. I know how to do all of it now. I know how to do all of it. The evidence was in, right? I know how to create success. Woohoo! So I moved to Australia and I'm in Australia to help set up this new division. And it was so bizarre because that yes that was in me, it it kind of deflated. And what replaced it instead were the expectations. Oh, everyone's expecting me to succeed. Everyone's going to be watching me. Everyone thinks I'm going to be the one. And all these stories I was telling myself. Nobody said it to me. I created these stories. Instead of the divine yes I had when there was no evidence of me being able to create success, it was replaced with expectations. Everyone's watching me. The pressure. Oh my God, like what if it doesn't happen? And all these little voices in my head. And I moved to Australia, and for 6 months, I worked my fucking ass off, excuse the language. I got there early, I stayed late, I was in on weekends, and it was really weird. Instead of like doing what happened in the Silicon Valley, I was not creating success. Despite all the action I was taking, despite all of this, everything I did, right? And I just kept spiraling. So I entered into the job with all these kind of this heavy energy of expectations, and I was working, putting all the action in, and I started to spiral like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my visa. I didn't pass probation. They extended it for another 3 months because they saw that I was trying, right? They saw that I was working hard. And so if I was in the Silicon Valley, I would have been fired. But they extended my probation, and I remember having this moment like, oh my God, I'm going to get like deported. I'm going to lose my visa and sent back to America because success is just not happening for me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing every action possible. And I had this moment when I was walking to work one day. I was literally tapped on the shoulder by something, right? I remember it was on the corner. I was standing by a rubbish bin. Like it was that visceral. And a voice said to me, Sarah, you remember what it felt like to choose success when there was no evidence? If you're not going to deliberately choose success again, you're deliberately choosing to fail. It was like chills went down my spine. Nobody deliberately chooses to fail. I was choosing the narrative. I was choosing the victimhood. I was choosing the stories around everyone has these expectations. Therefore, I was choosing to fail. Even though all the evidence was there, it was the choice. And I was like, oh shit. It was like, oh shit. So in that moment, I was like, right, okay, I can do this. I remember what it felt like to have that divine yes when there was no evidence and I succeeded. Now I have all the evidence. I didn't have the divine yes, and I was putting all the action in, and yet I was failing, and it was because of the embodiment. I didn't really understand energy back then, but I knew it was something kind of otherworldly that was creating this. I couldn't name it though. And so in that moment, I told myself a different story. I told myself that I was an explosion of success. I always laugh, it makes me giggle. But I just told myself that story over and over and over. And again, it wasn't the action that shifted my reality. It was a deliberate choice in that moment. That it was a proclamation, right? I am an explosion of success. So fast forward, I became one of the top salespeople worldwide in one of the biggest companies in the industry. I was flown to Vegas for all these awards. I was voted Top Gun. I was promoted. I left that company as senior business manager. Nothing to do with the action. Okay, I spent almost a year, killing myself with action. And I was like, what the hell happened there? What was that? Because I put every little ounce of my effort in and it did not move the needle properly. That's when I started to realize there's something else in this game, right? There's something else doing this. And I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so from there, I went and studied energy. I was a kinesiologist for, 10 years. So I worked with entrepreneurs in their frequency from 0 to 7 figures. And these are the guy who is at 7 figures, owns one of the biggest cryptocurrency schools. He's the one that's flying me to Thailand and onto the yachts to talk about all this stuff, right? So this stuff is where it is at. I have lived the energetic embodiment. I have lived the choice. Decisions are portals into timelines, okay? Decisions are portals into new timelines. We're too afraid to make the choice. Why? Because we're too fixated on the evidence, aren't we? We're too fixated on the bloody evidence. Now let's understand what the evidence is though. What is the evidence we're experiencing right now in our current reality? The evidence we are experiencing right now is an accumulation of all our old programs, all our old blocks, all our old narratives. Hello, And we're looking at the evidence to be like, maybe I shouldn't make that decision. Well, here comes the hamster wheel. Perpetuate, perpetuate, perpetuate. You have to decide beyond the evidence. Decide beyond the evidence. I was failing. I felt like I was going to lose everything. When your life feels like it's going to be over, I know it sounds dramatic, but that's what it felt like. I only wanted to be in Australia. At that point, I was with the person who I married. That felt like the rug was going to be ripped out from under me, and the evidence was in, and it was strong, and it was visceral. But I still had to choose a different story, no matter how visceral it felt for me. I had to deliberately choose that I was an explosion of success. Okay? This is not how people are programmed. This is why I say we are programmed to work against ourselves as deliberate creators. So I am here to reveal the actual program for what it takes for you to be in the seat of deliberate creation, for you to make the decisions that are required, and for you to anchor those realities as real, as physicality, right? And the first thing is decision. Decision's what opens the portal, but you have to decide beyond the evidence. That is crucial. Everyone is fixated on the evidence because they want safety. Is it safe? My reality needs to give me permission. You're asking your old version, your old blocks, your old distortions to give you permission to step into something new. It never will. I promise you that. Okay, I promise you that. So this is crucial. This is crucial, number one. So I call this the evidence distortion. That's one of the biggest ones. Everyone's trying to look for the evidence. Where's the green flag here? The green flag never happens. We're always waiting for this epiphany moment. Like, okay, now it feels right. The now it feels right, that never happens either. It's deciding despite, choosing beyond. Okay? Choosing beyond. All right, I'm going to share the screens with you because I want to help you understand. Now, it's great for me to say this, right? It's great for me to say this, but I want to help you understand why it feels hard, okay? So if we can understand why it feels hard, it's easier to choose beyond. I promise you, again, I teach this stuff around deliberate creation from having lived it, okay? I'm really bad at multitasking, sharing slides on Zoom. Okay, I teach this from having lived it. Now, the way you do this is by understanding, right? We need to understand the programming. I'm going to share screen. So the way I kind of like to describe this is you need to, when people say like you're the sum of people you surround yourself with, you just need to be so careful, right? Who are you having conversations with? Because what happens is, and what we don't realize is happening is we live in what I like to say, a world within a world. Okay? We live in a world within a world. Now, what I mean by that is, I'm going to show you the Richard Branson world in a sec. Let me see. Okay. So let's just say this is Sarah Tynan world, right? This is me here. And you look outside into other people's worlds. Maybe you have somebody who has launched and failed, and you notice that. Or maybe somebody's talking about the economy. Or maybe somebody says, oh, I've run ads and blah, 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 blah. And then maybe someone else says, oh, I've lost so much money. And you have all these narratives. And what you don't realize you're doing is you're looking at other people's worlds. You're watching the news. You're hearing your parents say something, and you're plugging their narrative into your world. Now think about that. Plugging their narrative into your world. That is like plugging a frequency into an outlet. Every time you take on a story, every time you take on someone else's programming, every time you believe something else to be true that isn't aligned with your highest truth, you contaminate your world. So I want you to understand this. Your world within a world means you can create anything. But the reason why you're not is you're plugging into everyone else's world. All right? So I want you to take a second. I want you to figure out the things you have to unplug from, because this is one of the distortions that is energetically contaminating your ability to sit in the seat of deliberate creation. You're plugging into someone else's failure. You're plugging into someone else's occurrence. You're plugging into someone else's truth. Then you forget who you are. Give me a yes if you're understanding this in the comments, please. This is so freaking important, okay? So important. And I want to tell you something. In our reality, yay, good, yes, thanks. Good job. In our reality, there are no truths. Okay? There are no truths. There are no truths. There are laws, right? There's the laws of gravity, there are the laws of creation, but there are no truths. So I want you to take this little nugget that I'm going to give you right now, because this will help you discern, do you plug this into your world or do you not? Knowing that there are no truths. Here's how I navigate my reality, and I determine my truths. This is one way. Another way, you sit in the seat of deliberate creation. First way is choice. You decide beyond the evidence. Second way is you choose your truth. So here's how I do this. I do this by something I call quantumly discerning information. Okay? So what I'm teaching you today, you don't have to believe me. In fact, don't believe me, right? I want you to take the information as a frequency. As I speak, move it into your body. Move this information into your body. As you are hearing me, is what I'm telling you expanding your cells, or is it contracting you? This is how I quantumly discern information, okay? If what I'm teaching you is expanding your cells, guess what? It's aligned with your higher truth. Your body is the organ of truth. I learned many things as a kinesiologist. That is one of the main things. Your body knows your truth. If you are activated and lit up by a truth, but it's outside of logic, it's outside what the norm is taught, but there's something in me saying this is the way, this is how I decide what's real. Not by plugging into everyone else's world and everyone else's distorted truth, by deciphering it on my own through quantumly discerning. Do you guys understand the difference? Give me a yes or no in the comments, please. Do you understand the difference between just blindly plugging everything into your world and then living in this contaminated existence versus deciding what you get to be true? So, you want me to tell you something really freaking cool that happens when you do that? When you start quantumly discerning your own truth, you block out all of these other things. You start to become your world within the world. Your body, your cells expand. When your cells expand, guess what happens? You hold more light. You hold more light. You hold more of your higher self. You hold more of your own alignment. It becomes impossible to make misaligned decisions because your body will feel it so viscerally. But right now, you're just on this path, plugging all these things into your world. You're so lost. You're so confused. You're listening to everyone else. You don't know which way to go, right? This is so freaking important. This is why, again, people are spinning out. Yes, exactly, Alex. Exactly. All right, so this manifestation thing, yeah, it's super cool, right? It's super cool. Well, let's help you to understand why it feels so freaking hard. Why do I feel like I'm paddling upstream all the time? These are two reasons why. Number one, you're basing your decisions on the evidence distortion. Number two, what is your truth? How do you quantumly discern information? Are you taking on, plugging into everyone else's world, right? You create everything. I've created some of the biggest breakthroughs in my business when the economy was the shakiest. Because my truth, the one that I want to create, the reality I want to sit in is I create my own economy, right? I create my own rules. When you create your own rules and you unplug from everyone else's truth, guess what? This is you being in the seat of deliberate creation, not being influenced by all the control mechanisms out there. This is how powerful you are, okay? This is what has, honestly, this is what has gotten me onto Necker Island with Branson and with some of the top entrepreneurs worldwide. This is Maggie from Think Like a Boss. I'm just putting people on mute. All right, it's this, right? It's this. So the whole Richard Branson thing was crazy. I was in a room in LA and I had somebody come in with the person who was coordinating this trip. She said, there's one spot left, right? There's one spot left. And I'm in this room of entrepreneurs who were doing, I'm the smallest fish, right? I'm the smallest fish. Natalie comes in. She says, there's one spot left in Necker Island. We don't know if Richard's going to ever do this again. I don't know if that was a scarcity tactic, but it fucking worked. Because everyone was on that spot like a bunch of piranhas, right? And I'm the low. You have to fill out an application. Your income has to be a certain level. It's not just like a free-for-all. And I don't go up to Natalie in that moment. I just proclaim it. It was a choice. It was a decision. It was a proclamation, right? It is mine. It is mine. And later on, I went up to her, and then she said, I filled out the application. She said, I got it. And the other thing with this is they were leaving 2 weeks later. Most of the entrepreneurs, all of them, had a year to prepare, right? It was about like 5 or 6 flights to even get there. But it was a choice. I chose beyond the evidence. In that moment, the evidence would have been like, well, so-and-so running 8 figures should be there. So-and-so doing multiple 7 figures will probably get it, right? But you choose beyond the evidence because I am a deliberate creator. And I got to spend 4 days with Richard Branson. You know, he was contracted to do a dinner and a Q&A. We spent every minute with him. I went sailing with him on a tiny little yacht, right? Every meal. All right, these are the experiences, and I'm pinching myself even, like these are the experiences you get to have when you choose beyond the evidence. And trust me when I say it's never comfortable, scary as fuck, all the time, because it requires you to be in the unknown, right? You're not ever sure where you're gonna quite land. But I can tell you one thing, if you quantumly discern and you know there's more for you and you decide based on that knowing, you will always land better. Always land better. The universe wraps itself and expands itself around those expanded decisions. So like every time like I've bought a new property or whatever, I'm like, I don't know, how am I going to hold all of this? The universe expands, right? Because it's aligned. I don't do things to impress people or to, to make, that's misaligned, right? I do it because it's a soul calling. I want to buy this property. I want to live this. Not because I need outside validation. That's misaligned because there's a calling in my soul. That's aligned. Okay, let me know if you guys are hearing me, you're feeling me, you're understanding this. Okay, this is me speaking on Joe's yacht. Well, he doesn't own it, but who flies me out to wherever he's at because he knows, right? He's created over $56 million in client profits. I think like 10 different million. I forget. A lot of money. He puts the majority of his success and his company's success and his client's success down to what I'm telling you now, okay? Yes, locked in, Kat, good, thank you. Good. You guys all have this ability. I'm not special. I've just been obsessed with reverse engineering this in my mind, okay? Obsessed. Because of that time when I was in the Silicon Valley, and then that was one of the hardest things I went through. It was so dramatic, I know, but because of what happened when I was working in corporate, I was like, that was not action. There was something else that got me those results. And I was obsessed with trying to figure out what that was. I had no idea. Back then, manifestation wasn't all the rage, all the whatever. I also had some physical issues start to happen, and that's why kinesiology, it changed everything for me. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? Well, there is something otherworldly, right? Otherworldly. And this is how I live my life. This is how I live my life now. And I get to help so many clients from all over the world, and we get to help make them a lot of money. Freedom is what I'm about. Freedom is what Alex is about. And combined, like our superpowers together, this is why we're here. We want to help you build a business that is free. We want to help you understand the programming so you can choose it deliberately, because it has to be that side of it too. This is why we save this for day 3, for mine and Alex's favorite part, because we both understand the importance of quantum energetics. It's like when I found Alex, we just knew we had this recognition in each other almost immediately. It's like we are so meant to do this together. Like, how do I find a media buyer who's so talented and so amazing and so value driven, who also gets this, right? It's crazy. So this is why we're here, right? We're here to help you build freedom. All of it. This is what we do for our clients. But you got to choose it. You got to choose beyond the evidence that this is the stuff you have to do for yourself. You got to unplug, right? Sit there. This is the work you get to do. What do you unplug from? What do you stop watching? How are you feeding your consciousness? It's all so freaking important. Right? Are you choosing the reality based on the evidence? Or are you choosing the reality based on your soul calling? That's the hardest part, okay? I have made crazy investments. So the first investment I ever made in my business was $33,000. And this was when I was still a kinesiologist. So I was doing in-person clients, right? At the time, my husband at the time was a musician. We just bought a new house. COVID hits. What happens then? He loses all of his gigs, right? That's his 80% of his income. I lose all my in-person clients. We just bought a house. And yet I'm investing $33,000. You think the evidence was saying, yeah, that's a great idea, Sarah, do that? No. No. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't made that decision, if I hadn't had aligned bravery, right? Neither would these clients. So this client, we ran 2 launches for her through her ecosystem. We built her demand. She made $67,000 and 3 months later replicated those results, right? So she made well over $150,000 within 3 months. But she is living aligned and brave. This is what it requires. All right? Choose beyond the evidence, unplug from your world, quantumly discern information, and aligned bravery. Now, this is where, people who are spiritual get confused because they think, oh, it's meant to feel good, meant to feel like flow, it's going to land with ease and all these, it's bullshit, okay? That part's bullshit. It's going to feel scary as fuck a lot. It's your mind is going to be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this again? And that's okay. That's the ego, right? That's the ego trying to keep us safe. That's the fear. Fear can be in the passenger seat. You're going to feel a lot of things, and I want to prepare you for that. I want to prepare you for what you're going to feel, because oftentimes, especially beautiful, sensitive, spiritual entrepreneurs, once they feel something, they interpret that fear, oh, this must be misaligned. And then it's like their permission slip to opt out, right? You got to lean into the fear. Every time you do that, you are calibrated. Every time you do it, you're calibrated to a new level. You lean into it, you're calibrated. There's a next level of calibration. It's like an initiation. So it's like, for me now, I've made good friends with fear. It's like, haha, I know you. I remember you, my old friend. Come on, get in. You're coming with me again. Very familiar feeling for me now, right? There's a quote I love by Glennon Doyle, and she says, you only live to the degree you're willing to be annihilated. One of my favorite books from her book Untamed, right? It's about freedom. So you have to annihilate those parts of yourself who are telling you the story. Oh, this isn't me. Who am I to do that? Who's going to want to buy from me? All of it. The only way you annihilate those versions of you is to lean into the fear and choose beyond it anyways. Every time it works. Every time. Has anyone read that book, by the way? It's so good. Give me a yes if you have. Give me a no if you haven't. Get it in your ears if you love an audio book. I have so many recommendations. She's such a brilliant author. Yes. Yes. Do you remember that quote, Melissa? Only live to the degree you're willing to be annihilated. You only live to the degree. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually don't remember that. It's a long time since I read that book, but that's a good one.
Yes. Get it back in your ears then. It was like, I don't know, when I read books, there are things that just hit me and that it changes my life. And it's normally just one line. It's one line, it changes my life. So self-annihilation is required, right? I've had moments where I couldn't pull myself off the kitchen floor, but my God, it calibrated me. And I have built the muscle of so much self-trust because I was okay with feeling things. Isn't this interesting, you guys? Isn't this interesting? We are holding ourselves back because we're not comfortable with feeling things. That's what it is. It's like, recognize, am I okay with feeling this fear? It's just a feeling. And the feeling comes from a story you're telling yourself. Okay? Wild, isn't it? And the only thing we want to build this reality is because we think it will make us feel something. So we got to figure out, how do we navigate our way through these oceans of feelings? Well, one way is getting yourself in room with all the people who have already just made it their normal. Made it their normal to be in fear. Made it their normal to have these types of calibrations. Made it their normal to go through self-annihilation, right? Because this is all where everything gets cracked open. This is where all these wild things happen. Oh, one day I'm in LA, next week I'm in Necker Island with Richard Branson. This is normal. This is what these people do, right? This is it. This is it. Okay, so let me know. Let me know if this is landing. What type of kinesiology? It was called PKP kinesiology. It was kind of all encapsulated. It was like 5 year. I studied it for 5 years, and then I went on to be, then I taught it. So I became a faculty member. I was in it. I was in that world real deep. Yeah, it was a bit of, there was some, yeah, there was, it was all energetics, it was neuro, it was physical, it was all of them all in one. Yes, very powerful modality. Very, very powerful. Okay, does anyone have any questions around this? What paradigms have you flipped today, or have I flipped for you? How are you going to move through the world differently? Now, I want to leave you with this last thing. Okay, there are, it's really cool to hear this and be like, wow, yes, I get this. This is, yeah, I'm activated. Yay, woohoo, right? Great. But let this change you, right? Let this change the path for you, please, okay? If you have this information, stay up here. It's a concept. Concepts don't change your life. They don't, right? We are flooded with concepts. Information is everywhere. People are talking about manifestation left, right, and center. We are inundated with all of these new concepts. Move it into your body. That's the difference between a concept versus embodiment. This is how I move through the world. I'm embodied in this information. I don't let this just be a concept. This is how I make decisions. This is how I move. I'm going to feel fear. The first time I make a scary decision without the evidence saying I should be doing this, it's going to feel scary as shit, right? But I do it anyway. That's embodied. Okay? So with this information, please let this be a new way of being. You will have this recording. Re-listen to it as many times as you need to have this anchored. Because I promise you, it is a decision. You are one decision away from opening the portal, right? From opening the portal. We are sifting through, I don't know if you guys follow Bashar, his teachings, his channelings. He says we sift through timelines 1 billion times per second. And it's the timelines, it's the decisions that anchor the new realities. Okay? It is the decisions that anchor the new realities. Love all of this. Thank you for sharing, Monique. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Decisions, and just be okay with feeling everything you're going to feel, because you will feel. Trust me. You want to feel. Every great thing I did was always paired with the what the hell are you doing? What is this? I knew it was aligned. It was in my soul. My soul was calling me. There's a desire there, right? You lean into that desire. The desire's like your little soul dangling the carrot, like, come this way. This is the other thing I want to leave you with, okay? I'll leave this, and then we'll do some Q&A. If you have the desire there, there's no way your soul would ever plant that desire seed if that reality was not already done. Tell yourself that over and over and over and over and over again, because that will help to determine the decisions you make. There's no way you'd have that desire if that reality was not already done. Okay? Dolores Cannon, brilliant teacher. She was a hypnotherapist who brought her clients in so deep, they were channeling universal wisdom to her, right? She says, when you are tapped into your vision, when you're imagining it, when you're imagining your vision, it's not your mind making something up. That's what we're told, right? People don't want us to know how powerful our minds are. Our minds are quantum navigation tools. Our minds are not making this up. It is accessing realities that are already done. She goes on to say that if you see it in detail, you can see the timeline, you feel it in your body, you have the desire there, you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. She says, if you see it in detail, it must happen. If you see it in detail, it must happen. It is law, right? So this is like, for me, 80%, 90% of success. When you pair it with aligned, data-driven strategy, this is why I say everything you experience will become inevitable. Okay? Inevitable. Okay. I could talk about this forever. I could talk about this forever. And we go into the energetics, you guys. For those of you who have booked your strategy intensive, aka constraint analysis, we're gonna go into this. We're gonna talk about the energetics because this is crucial, right? We're gonna go into the mind. You dig in there, see what's happening. Because I was a kinesiologist for so many years, within the first few sentences, immediately I'll be able to identify things for you. And here's the thing. Once it's identified, I always say when the truth is spoken, the spell is broken. Once you can reveal the programming and you can illuminate it, we dig it out and I hold it in front of you, we shine a light on it, we break the spell of it then, right? Every time you speak the truth of what's actually happening for you underneath the surface, you could break the spell of it because the unconscious becomes conscious. And when it is conscious, you are put in choice. Then you get to decide. Then you get to activate all the portals. But because it's unconscious, you have no idea what the hell's running the show. So this is the first little bit, the first, I would say, quarter of our session together will be diving into your unconscious. Listening to the stories, listening to the narratives, bringing them to the light, breaking the spell of them, because then boom, 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 boom. That's when this stuff starts to land really, really powerfully. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions. Again, here's the link. Book. I don't even want to call it a constraint analysis anymore. It's so much more. All right, if you guys have any questions, for myself or for Alex, please let us know.
I just feel like calling it kind of like just constraint analysis is just a little bit misleading because yes, we let the strategy for the first 2 days, but to be honest with you, like without this part, no strategy is gonna help you, frankly.
Yeah.
Because it always starts with your energy, with what you want, with what you can overcome, you know, and that's the baseline.
Yeah.
And this is something we need to keep on working on. It's not like said and done. It's I naively thought it was.
Yeah.
And this is when the universe showed me it's actually not. Like
Yeah.
this is where you have to work on yourself all the time.
Yeah, but this is where the juiciness is because things can change. This is where it's like Alex and I, like we try to set the right standard for, okay, the strategy is going to take you, this long. We don't want to like, people are like selling the victory lap and whatever. But this is where things get to change pretty quickly once you pair the two. Like this is the embodiment stuff. This is where we don't want to play in linearity. Like it's like we can start like moving the needle super quickly. It's this stuff here, right? Monique. I'm not sure what your question is, but you aren't Mind Valley. Was this for awareness expansion, building a funnel? Are you asking what this challenge was? Because for all of it, awareness, expansion, funnel building, all of it. That's what this is for. It's for all of it. It's for all the pieces, right? This is all the pieces that have had Alex and I. So the first 2 days are the strategy. So re-listen for sure. And then everyone just jump in and book one of these. You will never, you'll leave this changed. I promise you. Whether the way you look at your business, the way you look at yourself internally, the way you look at how you're moving through the world, right? These are the pieces. These are the pieces Alex and I build for our clients. These are the pieces Alex and I embody to get the success we've had, right? And this is what you get to have and play with as well. You get to have a business that feels free. You get to have a business that doesn't rely on you. You get to have an experience that feels magical. All of it. And these are the pieces. So the challenge isn't done after today, by the way. Alex is going to go live. I'm going to go live. Please re-watch these videos. Get involved. We're not closing the group until next week. This is just the start of it, really. We've given you guys this information. Let it integrate, let it simmer. We're going to come back in and jump in and support you. So re-watch the information, ask the questions about the ecosystem, ask the questions about the quantum, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, we're keeping this open through next week. So just keep going because this is the thing. We want this to be the thing that turn the dial. I don't want this to be just another free challenge. How many of these have you joined? Okay. So just stay active, stay tuned. There's more magic to come. There's way more magic to come. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions I got from my DMs. people, okay, I had somebody ask me if they need to have a business already set up to do a constraint analysis. No, because we'll build the foundations during that, right? It doesn't matter what level of business you're in. It doesn't matter if you're not running ads yet. There's so much work to be done, right? There's so much energetics to be calibrated, realigned, all of it. The only thing is Alex and I don't work with e-commerce brands. It's coaches, healers, service providers, right? Online service providers. No e-commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Have I missed anything, my dear?
You haven't, but I often get asked this question, right? Like, because I always say like Facebook is spiritual. It can basically sense our energy, and then for clients who are tuned in, it works like really, really, really well. But if you are in fear, it just doesn't. And I see this all the time. And for years I couldn't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
And it was very strange. Like I would have a campaign that would be like perfect. The most amazing creative, the copy, the messaging, like the person wouldn't have a hair out of place, and it would just like look the most beautiful. Seriously, the production value was there. But then we would set it live, and it would just be like either really expensive or just something would be breaking all the time. And that was always like a massive telltale sign that that person was not ready. Um, and
It's
on the other side, I've also worked with people who honestly had like landing pages as if a 12-year-old designed it. And I know 12-year-old now with AI, that's probably pretty good design, but I'm talking like 12-year-old like 5, 6 years ago, and it wasn't that great. But those campaigns would like really, really perform because the videos were very natural, the energy was there, and we can't forget, like, in this day and age, the way we consume is very personal. It's on our phone. This screen is just for us. My screen is different from yours and is different from everybody else's. And that's by design. That's how it should be. So think of like how do I want to show up, right? And if you are in fear, this is about working with yourself. It's about, first of all, the foundation, but then maintaining the foundation.
Yeah. This is the part people miss. Nobody's talking about this. And also, the cool
Yeah.
thing with it is this is the thing that we illuminate and the thing you have control over, right? This is what we show you.
But this is another thing. Like that's because like basically, like, on like a little side note, but I bet my daughter I can grow my Insta this year. So I've been on the platform a little bit more, and I'm noticing like, okay, people are scrolling a lot because then you suddenly see like this certain content going viral, and then you see somebody else is doing almost exact same thing. So it's also about like being mindful. What am I consuming? What am I putting into my, because even if you think like I don't really subscribe to this, your subconscious brain, that's over 90%
Yeah.
of our thoughts. Over,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is crazy. That just blows my mind on its own.
Yeah. But it's the thing this is where understanding this puts you in this place of deliberate creation, puts you where you are steering the ship, right? You are steering the ship because you're so embodied. You're in your world within a world. And
Yeah.
you're choosing your rules. You're choosing your truth. You're choosing all of it. I'm going to choose that I get to have the campaigns that go freaking crazy. I'm going to choose a $17 funnel that's going to make me multi six figures and just carry me through, right? I'm going to choose all this
Yeah.
through embodiment.
Yeah. Of course.
Woo! Okay, I think unless you guys have any questions, I will see some of you on your constraint analysis, which I'm super excited about. Keep in the Facebook group, right? We're not done yet. I want you guys to like go and rewatch, reconsume. We want you to get the most out of this. Alex is going to be going live on, is it Monday? Yeah, Alex?
It's Monday, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So anything to do with ads, data, all of it, energetics as well, energetics with ads, all of it. Be there live. We are here. If you have any questions, let us know. I hate ending these. I just love being in this energy. All right. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We will see you guys soon.
Bye. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.